and Delivery app or the Star Market Deals and Delivery app today.
How many touchdowns you guys score last year? The answer is not enough. That's it. There's one answer. Not enough. We got to score them.
The Patriots are brought to you by Safety Insurance, Catches Law, Shaw's and Star Market, your New England Honda dealers, Credit Union's Kids at Heart, Town Fair Tire, Clinton Savings Bank, and by Valvoline Instant Oil Change.
Here we go.
Also brought to you by your New England Ford dealers, Eastern Propane and Oil, Comcast Business, Drains by James, Live Nation, UMass Lowell, your Boston area Chevrolet dealers, Devlin Energy, FindMassMoney.gov, and by Bigelow Tea.
We're going to have to just line up and play football. All this drawing stuff on the board, it doesn't matter for nothing.
And by Reed's Ferry Storage Sheds, Peerless Boilers, Wendy's, the Peterson School, Dig Safe, Dairy Queen, Blue Sky Restoration Contractors, Eagle Leasing, Webster Bank, Heading Home, and by Apex Entertainment Center.
Holding! Come on! How do we not see this? Come on! Call it!
Now, here's Mark Dondero and Joe Murray.
All right, welcome in. Football season is back. Mark Dondero, Joe Murray here on the Shaw's and Star Market Patriots postgame show. Shaw's and Star Market make shopping, ordering online, and saving easier than ever. Download the Shaw's Deals and Delivery app or the Star Market Deals and Delivery app today. As I said, Joey, football is back, and it feels great. How did you feel? Big takeaway about the first preseason game here under Mike Vrabel.
The Patriots came out and I'm not going to say they sent a message, but I just don't think it was an easy camp. I think that they have worked hard. They looked organized. There was well protection. As far as their offensive line went, their defense looked coached up. When they had to make plays on key third, fourth downs, they made it. They scored 48 points tonight. There are probably things we can nitpick, but how do you walk away from this one not being happy with the performance?
Overall, correct. The numbers would indicate that it was a good night for the Patriots. What I'm trying to sift through, and we're going to talk to Greg Bedard later, he could have hopefully some clarity, some answers to some of the questions that I have. I just want to know what's real. You know what I mean? Because like everybody else, I'm starving for some good football. I'm starving for some competent offense. But I want to know what's real, okay? We saw it during the week with joint practices. Now everybody's telling me that that's the realest thing that we can, sink our teeth into in the terms of the preseason. Look, the offense, Drake May, I wasn't all that impressed, to be honest with you. My big takeaway is that they might have hit on the second-round pick. And I'm not going to say he's obviously going to be a star or it's clear that they've got this home run. He looked really good in the preseason against guys I don't even know for Washington. A great kickoff return. Clearly, he's an explosive player. He can offer something in the passing game. We all know about his blitz pickup, all those things. So overall, optimistic, yes. But Drake May, 3 of 5. What was it? 12 yards. And most concerning, and I say that with a little c, they didn't really, do anything dynamic offensively. They didn't really try anything dynamic offensively. Now it's a preseason game. Maybe that was by design. Maybe the vanilla game plan is what you're doing in the preseason because you've done other things during practice, during joint practices, what have you. I didn't see anything outside of what they've been the last few years, and I just noticed that. That's what I noticed. Doesn't mean it's going to be bad. It doesn't mean we're in for a bad offensive team this year. But I didn't see anything dynamic tonight.
I'll say Travion Henderson looked dynamic to me.
Sure.
I mean, That kick return, 100 yards, he gets to the 30-yard line and turned on the boost. That was very good.
But I'm talking about from a schematic perspective.
Yeah. You know what? It did look more organized. I don't think I've seen a Patriots lineman pull in years.
Okay.
And I watched it happen a couple of times. Again, what is real, they did it. A guy that was a starter last year did it in the fourth quarter of a game on a goal line run. So again, will they be able to do that normally against, ones, etc.? I'll agree with you on that. But schematically, I thought it was just better coached. And at times, maybe there was more accountability. Last year there was, hey, this guy's not going to start, he starts. Or, if somebody makes a bad play. They did put Drake May back out there for that other series because I think I guess we have the coach.
The head coach, Mike Vrabel, at the mic. Let's go to him now.
I'm guessing you don't want us to make any fuss for Canton yet for Travion Henderson, but I'm guessing you think he might have gotten off to a kind of a good Patriots debut today and got the team rolling today?
Well, I think that was one of the phases that we talked that was going to be so critical, and it's hard to really rep full speed. And we got a few of them against Washington, and I think we saw some things that we can improve on, and that's exactly what we did. And I think Travion read it out and hit the hole, and everybody else blocked and finished and did all those good things. So it's a step in the right direction, and I think it's exciting anytime that you can. We talk about how critical a phase of the game is going to be, and to come out here and be able to work on it.
Chris Bryce and Dan Roach.
Mike, it looked like Efton Chisholm got off to a good start tonight. What did you see from him that maybe stood out?
Well, I think his play strength stood out to me, from the sideline. I think the way that he blocks and his ability to catch the ball in traffic. The ball was basically tipped or bobbled, coming out of Ben's hand and kind of ran through a tackle and ran through contact, and then we threw him the screen. So those are all positive things. I think his play strength to me is what stood out.
Dan Roach in the back.
Mike, just thought on Drake's performance, and I'm sure the turnover probably annoyed you with what he did.
Are you asking and answering a
Just
question at
your
the
thoughts.
same time? Is that what you're doing?
I got you. Your thoughts.
I would say you about summed it up. That's a bad decision. I think we're going to need better from him, and I think he knows that, and that's obvious. So, wasn't there, and we just have to be able to find a way to get rid of the football or take a sack and punt and play defense. But to the defense's credit, they, forced a field goal. I think that was missed maybe, but they got a couple, it was a sudden change opportunity.
Daniel's far right.
Right over here, Mike. DJ James continues to have a solid summer. Just your impression of him and the interception tonight, and then the work he continues to do for you.
I think that it's always exciting to see players that take advantage of opportunities, and since DJ was one of the players that was here for rookie minicamp, and I would say that since that day and that weekend, he's continued to improve, and I think he's taken advantage of that. And so I'm always for players that get better, take coaching. It's on them, obviously, to improve, and so that's all to DJ's credit. And so I'm excited for him that he can put into work and then start to see it translate onto the field.
Mike.
Hi.
I can't imagine a lot of instances of you going outside the stadium 90 minutes before kickoff, but how important was it for you to be at Tom's ceremony, and what was it like for you being there and quickly getting back into the game mode?
Well, I think it made it a little easier just because it was, it's a preseason game and there's maybe probably not as much going on. I mean, there's still the schedule and everything and meeting with the officials and the team and the coaches. But, it was always important for me to be out there. And, I thought you saw the amount of people that were there to support him, people on the commander's side, former teammates, having somebody like that be a part of this organization, pretty unique, pretty special. So glad that I was able to be a part of it for a little bit.
Hi, Mike. I'm curious with Will Campbell and Jared Wilson, I'm curious how you thought they did on the left side tonight, because it seemed like on the fumble that they might have missed that block, but at the same time, Will Campbell and they were pushing guys forward. So just how you thought they did overall.
Well, I think the play demeanor showed, and I think that there was a game maybe that, pass rush game it looked like to me, and those are something that we'll continue to work hard on. We were able to pick them up in the practice. They ran a few of them over there against us in practice. We just have to be able to carry that execution into the game. But I certainly did see their play demeanor kind of stand out, and I think that that's a good place to start is with that and being downfield and finishing through the whistle and everything that we embrace here.
Mike, we saw Jalen Pollock leave for the locker room after the carry. Just curious if there's an update on him.
No update right now. He'll get more testing and see our doctors, and wasn't able to finish the game.
Mike, obviously you want to establish consistency in the preseason and in training camp. So how important is it for you that on this first game only 2 penalties for 15 yards.
Well, we had a couple that were, really offsetting, so we still fouled them. It wasn't like we were really, really clean. I thought operationally we were pretty good. Felt like everybody was on the same page in substitution and getting in and out of the huddle. And they don't huddle, they sub, and sometimes they stand over it and sometimes they don't. So I felt like defensively that was a good challenge for us to be able to play a game like that with a team that really doesn't want to huddle. And but when you can have that many, we had a few kickoff returns and did not have any penalties there. We had the one that was offsetting on the punt. Those are critical because there's so much field position that gets changed when you have penalties on punt returns and kickoff returns. So it's a good start. It's a good start for everything that we were talking about, and it'll give us somewhere to coach. We'll have to tackle better, and we'll have to throw the football better going forward. But I thought that this was a good place to start.
Two final questions. Karen,
Javon Baker made a couple of special teams tackles, and I thought you were encouraged by that on the sideline. But is it good to see someone who's trying to contribute in more than one phase in terms of trying to make the team?
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. When you have players, and especially receivers, that can create a role and they can help you and they can be big and physical and everything that we see out of Javon as a receiver, when you can embrace that and they can embrace that as special teams players, guys that are big and physical and fast and willing, that translates to special teams. So excited and just happy for Javon, just being able to go out there and contribute. And when you do those things, your teammates get excited, and hopefully his confidence continues to grow.
Mike, over here. You mentioned the passing game is something you can improve. I was wondering, obviously it's early, but what did you think contributed to that, whether it was separation?
I think the way that the game kind of unfolded with the kickoff and, going for a touchdown and, defensive turnover. And, I felt like we had some opportunities. Maybe the ball was batted. I thought we had CJ for a touchdown there. He was open. And then just the protection, I guess, on the third down. So it wasn't like we had a whole lot of opportunities early. We were able to kind of convert and score, running the football. And then, Drake scrambled, right? So, again, I'm all for him using his ability to run, when it's there, and you saw him slide, and then you saw him be able to run in the end zone. So, maybe just kind of how the game unfolded early. We hit some passes late. I think Ben settled down. I was excited to see him settle down and, hit some passes. And John Giles, who busts his tail to block and play special teams, and, had a huge catch there. And felt everybody played, which I'm excited for. And, we talked about there were some players that didn't get to play on Wednesday or practice, and that they were going to get an opportunity on Friday night. And I was happy to see them take advantage of it, and proud that they could be excited about it.
Thank you, Mike.
Thanks, guys.
All right, that was Patriots head coach Mike Vrabel after the team's 48-18 win over the Washington Commanders in preseason game week number 1. We're going to get headlines from Joey in a second. But first, let's pause 10 seconds for station identification on the Safety Insurance 98.5 The Sports Hub, Patriots Radio Network.
From the Town Fair Tire Studios, this is Boston's.
Into the end zone. Drake May, 3 for 5 passing in this one, but did have a rushing touchdown. He also had a fumble. Was a turnover in this one. Josh Dobbs also ran for a touchdown. Rookie Ben Woodbridge threw a touchdown pass to Efton Chisholm. Travion Henderson opened the game with a 100-yard kick return. Patriots, they'll play the Vikings next Saturday night. Some NFL scores tonight. Lions and Falcons game was suspended due to an injury to safety Maurice Norris. He's taken off in an ambulance. Lions win 17-10. Cleveland got a 30-10 win tonight. Shador Sanders with 2 touchdowns in their win over the Panthers. And the Red Sox and Padres right now underway. Sox lead 5-0 in the 5th inning. Wilyer Abreu with a 2-run homer in that one. The Celtics, They have locked up Joe Mazzulla to a multi-year contract extension. Headlines, they are brought to you by Valvoline. It's an oil change. Enjoy quick and convenient vehicle maintenance this month. Visit NewEnglandOilChange.com for 15% off your next drive-through oil change at Valvoline. It's an oil change, the official oil change of busy people. I'm Joe Murray. We'll have more of the Shaws and Star Market Patriots postgame show after this on the Safety Insurance 98.5 The Sports on Patriots Radio Network.
Hi, this is New England offensive lineman Cole Strange. I'm teaming up again this year with Credit Union's Kids at Heart in the fight against
All right, welcome back to the Shaw's and Star Market post-game show. Mark Dondero, Joe Murray. That was the post-game live Unclogging the Gaps by Drains by James. Brought to you by Eastern Mass's leader in drain cleaning and pipelining. Drains by James. Slow drain, clog drain. You need to contact Drains by James today at drainsbyjames.com. Obviously, Travion Henderson, Joey, the star of the game tonight. Reason for optimism. And actually, as Phil Perry pointed out, a little assist there to Will Campbell. You know, if you could have a lineman offering up a highlight, I would say that was one for Campbell, finishing that block all the way down the field.
That was a theme of the night. There were a couple of guys that were finishing blocks down the field, which, you know, maybe that's a Doug Marrone thing, play to the whistle, drive the guys downfield. Maybe there was some tape from a year ago where guys weren't going second level. I saw that today. That as far as a scheme goes, I saw a difference there. Definitely a downfield blocking. And you know what else I did notice a little bit? I mentioned the pull from DeMontre Jacobs late in the game there. Again, late in the game, but there were times where, you know, Josh McDaniels really wanted to score or wanted to make a play, and he dialed up the right offense. But on that particular play, I mentioned Jacobs on the pull. That was an easy touchdown. Pitch, done.
Yep.
Score. It was easy. But there were a couple of Will Campbell where they went to the left side and he cleaned downwards and worked. So although there was a lot of changes, young players in particular playing tonight, Cole Strange played both sides.
Yep.
The only play on the Drake May fumble, 2 rookies on that left side.
Okay. So I'm glad you brought up that play. And again, I'm just uncomfortable. Okay, I love what the Patriots are doing. I love the nucleus that's brewing down there. I'm just uncomfortable because they treated tonight, and maybe rightfully so, but they treated tonight like they almost had it licked. Like they were an established offensive unit with players who have made their name in the NFL and that we know what we're going to get from player X and Y and Z. And I just don't believe that. Okay, I don't understand why they didn't try to be a little bit more dynamic. I don't understand, frankly, why Drake May didn't play a little bit longer. They haven't proven anything. And this is the preseason, so to me, I want to see them in there developing some type of rapport or just developing. For example, on the play you just brought up, okay? Now, I understand that the Commanders ran a little bit of a twist or some sort of a stunt, and that can confuse the 2 rookies on the left side. Fine. Why though, on a third down, that was a third down, I believe, right? Why were you not looking for Pop Douglas there? He's your best receiver, especially with Diggs, and I think he's probably going to end up their best receiver this year, period. But with Diggs not playing, he's your best receiver. He was unguardable in joint practice. Why would you not look for him there? Because he was wide open on that route. Wide open if you had gotten the ball out and gotten it to him. The sack wouldn't have happened. Why were you looking at Booty? Why weren't you looking for your guy Douglas? That made no sense to me. He ends up getting sacked, and I liked what Mike Vrabel had to say in the press conference because that's accountability. Yeah. He was direct. He was to the point. But I have questions about that because I don't understand why you were looking not to Douglas. He's your best guy out there. You're not in for that long. You know, play it straight up. That's what you're going to do in the real season. Give him the ball on third down. Good things happen. He didn't there.
So I think that they did that with Woodbridge and Dobbs at times. I think they were throwing things at May. May was further back, I think, at times than you want out of the shot. I don't mean it out of the snap. He was dropping back and was kind of had to fire some balls in or lob them in. Yeah, some of the play calls, again, this is a Josh McDaniels thing. Is it a Josh McDaniels young lineman and May not reading and finding the guy right away or not sitting still or moving up in the pocket? There was a lot there. I just almost wonder if it was designed today. And I agree with you. If this was a regular season game, I'd be like, why is Drake May dropping back so far? And again, he was rushed back a little bit on that play, but he does have to get the ball out quick in this offense.
He does.
That's something I think they have to do.
That. Yes. I just don't know why. Again, maybe they know things that I don't know, that we don't know, that everybody doesn't know. I just don't understand why they're not treating it with a little more urgency in terms of we have to figure out if we're able to prove that we're going to be able to click as an offense, that we're going to be able to score points, because they haven't. Drake May, as optimistic as I am, as everyone is, he looks good. He hasn't proven anything.
Yep.
And I need them to prove that they can play competent offense. And it's just, maybe I'm just a part of the old school and that when the preseason used to actually mean the starters played and you figured stuff out, now it's a big 0 and nothing. I would have liked to have seen them act more like this is a game and we're going to show that you're not hiding anything. You got to prove that you can actually do these things before you can worry about being coy and not showing too much and all those things.
Yeah, I think today is a day to be critical of what we saw from Drake May, right? He had the fumble. His footwork wasn't great. Some of the things that we saw from last year came back. The turnover. That's what we know of him. We didn't really see anything change tonight from him. We didn't. And by the way, this is coming off a practice where everybody said it's the best he's ever had, right? Oh, everybody was great today. So, again, this is why I wonder sometimes, coming off that nice practice, did they try to do some different things? His footwork wasn't great. I have to admit that. And, again, he's got to take a sack. And I love how Vrabel called him out.
Called him out. And I am, just to be clear, we can get more into this as the show goes on. We're going to be on for a little bit. I'm actually more critical, and maybe I'm in the wrong here, of the approach and maybe how long he was in the game or wasn't in the game than I am that he fumbled the ball. I don't like the fumble, obviously. I don't want the turnovers, but I'm more critical about the approach just because, A, I don't want to see them play that type of football, and B, I want to see them prove themselves as an offense. So more on that. We're going to hear from the quarterback, and we'll have a lot more here on the Shaw's and Star Market postgame show on the Safety Insurance 98.5, the Sports Hub, Patriots Radio Network.
At Valvoline Instant Oil Change.
Nice job by May there, Bob.
Our market post-game show. Mark Dondero, Joe Murray. That was the drive of the game, brought to you by Safety Insurance. Post-game live drive of the game. The drive of the game is brought to you by Safety Insurance, providing comprehensive coverage for your auto, home, and business. Ask your independent agent about safety. We'll help you manage life's storms. A big part of the execution of that drive of the game was quarterback Drake May, who spoke with the media, and Drake May's press conference is brought to you by your local Chevrolet dealers.
Hey, Drake, just a thought on getting out there, stadium, Tom Brady night, the game action, and just your thoughts on what you were able to accomplish.
Yeah, I think, shout out to the fans. It was a great turnout. I mean, that's, felt like a real game atmosphere. You get the same jitters rolling out there. Obviously, a big celebration for number 12. That's a pretty cool statue they put out there. I was able to listen to a little bit of his speech. That was pretty cool. So, honoring him and what he's done for his organization speaks for itself. But for the fans tonight, how about that? They showed out, and I think what the guys did tonight, had everybody playing hard, blocking, tackling, running around. And I think, just kind of full 4 quarters, I thought we, kept playing. And I think we're kind of, starting to, build something that we're starting to build the identity, and that's what Coach is talking about, and I get to do my part of protecting the football. So.
I know you were very complimentary of Efton Chisholm over the course of the spring, his work he did during the OTAs. I know you guys didn't have a chance to connect tonight, but from the sideline, what did you see from him and maybe his overall growth over the course of the summer?
Yeah, he's a baller. I mean, he loves coming up, ask me questions about routes and things. He loves talking football. He's just a football player, and you saw it tonight, making plays. I'm glad he got in the end zone, and then almost should have got in the end zone again on the screen. He got chased down, but I think just blocking hard, doing all the right things. I think that kind of is what we're preaching in the offensive room. You do keep doing things the right way and keep showing up. You're going to get rewarded.
Hey, Jake, over here, just how disappointing was it to start sort of with that fumble on the first drive?
I was excited to get out there, and Travion takes it the 100 yards. It was pretty sweet. But, you got a little bit of drive going, third down, and just can't do that, my first time out. Just definitely put a damper. I'm glad we responded well that next drive. But, same time, I'm glad it's something I can control, but at the end of the day, you just can't put the defense in that position, when games, matter and during the season. And, I told, those guys, it's on me. We got to get back out there, and glad I was able to get another series going. We're back.
Hey, Drake, imagine, especially as quarterback, one of the top priorities in the preseason is avoiding big contact and staying in good condition. But when it comes to using your legs, how much is the balance of, I don't want to take off run, get too much contact versus, if they're going to give me all that green grass, I got to take it.
I think, when they play man or they're, down in the red zone and sitting back in zone and, playing too high, I got to, play football. That's, my natural instinct. Obviously wish you could have, hit some more passes, but at the same time, I thought we were running the ball well all night, and there's an even balance of, them accounting for, me being able to run a little bit. And I thought I got down, and on the first third down scramble, and then in the red zone, like I said, I'm going to go out there and play football.
Drake, you mentioned it a little bit, but just take us through your reaction to seeing Travion Henderson on that first play, just take it 100 yards on that kickoff return.
Yeah, I think it's different with the kickoff rule now. You think, teams are going to want to, tackle and not get 35-yard line, so it's going to be a chance for some returns. And, it's like a lightning bolt. He was, I saw the crease and, knew he was gone. So, pretty cool. The first time he touched football, it's a touchdown. And then, credit the guys that did the blocking up front. That's, special teams. And all 3 phases. I think special teams got a chance to be big for us this year.
Hey, Drake, just going back to the end of the first drive, plays like that where you're trying to extend, do you feel like that's more just instinct, like you were talking about reflex, or is there kind of a deliberate thought on that play of what you were trying to do?
No, yeah, it's instinct. It's just the first time I got hit since back in the last, week 17. So, it's instinctive, and I'm going to try to do, my best and not get hit. But I'm going to do my part of standing there and delivering throws, and, know that's going to happen. But, I think it's instinctive, just playing football and, obviously try to get the ball in the other guy's hands because they're better runners than I am. But just keeping defense honest.
In your first answer, you mentioned the optimism you have with the group this year. Is it possible to get a sense for who and what this team is this early, and what's driving that optimism?
Yeah, I think you just got to continue to work at it every day, every week. Learn from it, learn from the tape. That's what the biggest thing I've seen these guys. They want to get better. They're asking questions. It's a lot of football talk around in the locker room. And I think that's something that you like seeing. I think the optimism for me is. These guys, like I said in the previous one, we want to win. And it starts with the head coach, the intensity. You see the guys up front, especially the first offensive line group. That was in with me. I was, tossing and handing it off and just watching them kind of set the tone early up front. That kind of gets me excited and gets me pumped up. You see guys, talking trash until the whistle, and that's what you want. That's what you want around the locker room. You want those guys, and it's easy for me to get excited, playing with guys like that beside me.
Last question, Mike Reese in the back.
Hey, Drake, when you think about Ramondre and Travion and Antonio, the three backs there, how would you sort of describe the way they complement each other from your view?
Yeah, I think it's it's tough on the defense. They all can make you miss. They can run over you. They can catch balls out of the backfield. So it's going to be challenging for us on when to use them and how to use them and getting them the ball. So we got to get those guys open in space. They're great football players, and you see two of them in the kickoff return. I don't know who they're going to kick it to. Both of them are pretty had big ones tonight. So excited to have them beside me, and I think the best thing about them, they're smart. They're good in pass pro. They're good when running the football. That's obvious, but routes, and I think pass pro, they're willing to block. That's what something you look for in a quarterback. Is he going up in the A gap like, man, I got to go do this. Those guys are like, I'm going to protect the guy behind me. And that's what, like I said, it's pretty cool and fires me up. So, thank y'all.
All right, that was Patriots quarterback Drake May. The quarterback press conference is brought to you by your New England Chevy dealers and the Chevy Silverado, where dependability comes standard. Back here with Joe Murray on the Shaw's and Star Market Patriots postgame show. And, Joey, I'll say this. I am in the camp of I don't want Drake May just taking off and running all the time, but this offense, based on where they've been, is in no position to be picky or fussy. Okay, if he has an opportunity to run, and tonight he did a good job sliding. I think Mike Vrabel alluded to that in his press conference. He appreciated it. He was smart about sliding and not taking unnecessary hits. If it's there for him to run, I think they're going to need him to run, and if they have to create some explosive plays that way, I think they should do it.
Absolutely, especially in the red zone, right?
Right.
They can find a way for him to get out there, but hey, listen, you mentioned that maybe we didn't see enough of Drake May. He clearly needs more reps. I think today was an indication of he even said it himself, first time he got hit all camp. And what did he do? Coughed up the football. So maybe this is part of the slow start and not being ready to go with the scheme and the game plan.
Yep.
But again, they scored 48 points tonight, but the nuts and bolts is Drake May. And the scheme, it didn't look great besides him running the football.
Yeah, and you could say he not just coughed up the football, but panicked, sort of, and coughed up the football, or tried to do too much, or made a bad decision and coughed up the football. It wasn't just
it was instincts,
a blindside hit, and he fumbled. There was a decision that was made that helped cause that fumble, which is what Mike Vrabel was very direct in saying can happen. So if you're going to make that mistake now, I guess that's the time to make the mistake. Drake May tonight, 3 of 5 for 12 yards passing. He rushed the ball for 16 yards and the touchdown. So it wasn't a disaster by any means. He didn't really play all that much. I just would have personally liked to have seen him do a little bit more because, again, he's in his second year and he really hasn't proven anything to the level of what we all think he can be, and that's what I'm waiting to see. So we'll see if we actually see more of that in the next preseason game. They're going to have 2 joint practices against the Vikings instead of just the one with the Commanders because Washington only wanted to do 1. Okay, more to come on the Shaw's and Star Market post-game show with Joe Murray, Mark Dondero, and I on the Safety Insurance 98.5, the Sports Hub. Oh, we're going to get headlines. We'll get headlines first with Joe Murray here on the Safety Insurance 98.5. Just headlines. Joe will do that next.
Gotcha.
Sports Hub.
48-14. It was a lot of touchdowns. Drake May rushed for 1. Josh Dobbs rushed for another. Even Ben Woolbridge got into the mix with the touchdown pass.
hard and running over poor Carlin Viggers of Washington. That's the second time he has been trampled by a back in the last 3 plays. People forget, Bob, Antonio Gibson's a big body himself. Ramondre Stevenson isn't the only big back on this roster. Gibson goes about 230 pounds.
The Shaw's and Star Market post-game show. It's an interesting dynamic that the Patriots have going on here, Joe. We're talking a lot about Drake May, the quarterback that matters right now. However, there were other quarterbacks that played tonight, and it's an important position, obviously. What did you think of the depth at that position the Patriots put out there this evening?
Well, this is probably something that was orchestrated, I assume, when they traded Joe Milton at the time. I think that the two positions that they prioritized this offseason were quarterback and left tackle. Josh Dobbs a few times had some really bad underthrows, and if you look back and watch some of Kyle Williams wide open down the sideline, underthrown. It's tough to watch, to be honest with you. He knows the system. He played for Vrabel in Tennessee, but I don't think he's threatening Drake May for the job whatsoever. Woolbridge, he's shorter. Some balls were tipped at the line, but understood the commands. I mean, he's probably going to be I probably think they need another veteran to answer the question.
They definitely do, because it wasn't good enough. And I just think to myself, I remember this last year. Now, I forget which preseason game it was, and he hasn't turned into anything. But do you remember once last year during the preseason, Javon Baker had a chance down the field to make a game-changing catch? Would have been a huge play in whatever game they were in, and it didn't happen. They didn't connect. And I remember thinking to myself, I said it on the air at the time, if he makes that play, do you understand in that instant, the entire narrative around Javon Baker changes just on that one catch? And I was thinking of that tonight when you mentioned the underthrow on the sideline or whatever. I was thinking about that play down by the goal line where Williams shook the defender, was wide open for a second, but the throw was late.
Late throw.
And he couldn't it would have been a touchdown. Right. They didn't convert. And I'm just thinking to myself, obviously that's a rookie. I don't know how much he's going to play. You think he's going to be on the roster. But what would that have done to the rookie and his progression and his trajectory if he caught a touchdown pass in his first preseason game? I mean, this team, this organization is starving for a quality draft pick at receiver. Obviously, that wasn't going to make or break this kid. But that would have been nice. That would have helped. And because the quarterback that was in there was totally and utterly incompetent, you didn't get to have that moment. And I'm just wondering, are you sacrificing or hurting the potential development of some of these younger receivers when you put them out there with a guy like that?
I absolutely saw it with Williams tonight. There's no doubt about it. He beat his man multiple times. Quarterback couldn't make the throw. I think there was another throw where I think Drake May around the red zone may have made a bad throw as well. But, this is, again, this was their first time out there. I'm not trying to, say, hey, it's week one. It could have been worse and make the mistakes now. But it is evident that if Drake May or something happens to him, they got building blocks here, but there's going to be no progression, to your point. All the draft picks, the line, everything is going to change if you don't have a guy that can make plays downfield. And there's not another quarterback on the roster that can make that down throw. Nobody can.
No, I almost would rather have had Jacoby Brissett on the team this year as the backup or somebody. Yeah. I mean, just somebody a little bit more guy that has had some experience and maybe a little bit of success in the NFL to be the steady hand veteran.
Is that? I don't. To your point, does it help the development of the team?
Not tonight.
Not tonight. It didn't. It didn't. But at least I will say that Williams looked great. He really did. But you mentioned this last year. Javon Baker did things like that. I'm wondering if Baker's going to make the team. He was playing special teams.
Yeah.
Jalen Polk, of course, on a reverse. He might be done.
The other Polk made a catch.
More catches than Jalen. He had an interception on a tip.
I'm sorry. I don't see how Jalen Polk isn't done.
I put him on PUP right now. Just go on PUP, and we'll talk to you in 6 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if that's something you could do and you could stick. I get he was a second-round pick, but when you factor in what he did last year and how wide that gap is that he's going to have to bridge to get back to respectability, and now he's dealing with an injury with all this competition at receiver. And I get it. It's not like it's an elite group necessarily, but there's still a lot of competent guys that can play. Booty can play. Obviously, Douglas can play. You bring in Diggs. You got these rookies. Williams. Efton Chisholm had the biggest game of anybody tonight. Yeah. How is he making the team?
Yeah, I think he's a nice development player. And I don't think he's ready to go in that spot. But, hey, they really wanted to get him the ball for that touchdown. I'll give him credit for that. You know, I don't know if we should do this tonight. This would be a great, nice talk show segment. But the Joe Milton trade will be a discussion.
Yes.
And still not sure why they did it. But as far as did it make the football team better? No.
And I'm sick of trades, just in Boston in general. This is the Patriots the Shaws and Star Market Patriots post-game show, so we're not going to get into other things. But I like trades generally that make the team better. Okay, that one didn't make the team better. Obviously, I would have liked to have, if this player Joe Milton had an attitude or was being disruptive in any way, I would have liked to have thought that maybe Mike Vrabel could have gotten him in line just so you could continue to work with him a little bit and just see what was there, at least until Drake May fully proved what he was or what he is or what he's going to be. I don't know what Joe Milton's going to end up being. I do know that you could talk about this. You and I could talk about this all night, off the air probably. The word was at the National Sports Card Show, a lot of people were buying Joe Milton cards.
He's
a lot of people investing.
That's right.
In Joe Milton.
A lot of people love it in the trade for sure. I will just say for tonight, I think your point stands. I don't know how much other development they got outside of Chisholm with the quarterbacks that they had.
Maybe they know something we don't know.
I think they just want to give Drake May the job with no pressure.
Okay.
And I don't know if that's the best. Hey, Will Campbell's playing left tackle. Is anyone battling him out? You know?
Yeah. I mean, I get it. They're a high first-round draft pick, both of those guys. But you got to prove it, especially from the quarterback's perspective. He's in his second year. Campbell is a rookie. There's going to be ups and downs. Drake May is in his second year. He's got a new offensive coordinator. He's got help now with Diggs and receivers and the second-round running back. I mean, he's got help. You got to perform. It's time. The developmental period should be over once the preseason is over, and I'm waiting for that to happen. And I want to see what happens.
Just to bring it up one more time, it might be a reason why they should have left Drake May in for another series or so with some different looks.
Cosign. That was disappointing tonight. And the approach in terms of that was disappointing. Not just the play calling, just not leaving him in there a little bit longer. We're going to get, when we get back, we're going to get Greg Bedard's take on all of this. We'll have plenty of questions for Greg here on the Shaws and Star Market post-game show on the Safety Insurance 98.5, the Sports of Patriots Radio Network.
Artificial intelligence, AI, has made my life so much easier. So
into the uprights, and that kick is good. So John Parker Romo, who a year ago had a 55-yarder for Minnesota against Arizona, tonight connects from 52 against Washington in this preseason battle with the rookie Borregales.
Dondero, Joe Murray, this season as part of their Apex Cares program, Apex Entertainment will be donating $100 to the New England Center for Children for every converted field goal. Every point, every dollar helps. For more information, go to apexentertainment.com. And with that, we are pleased to bring in, from the Boston Sports Journal, Greg Bedard here on the postgame show. Greg, how are you?
Good. What's up, Mark? Way. They let anybody in there these days, huh?
That's right. It's good to hear from you. Well, I'm going to start with this, Greg. You know, obviously they scored a lot of points tonight. It was a fruitful game in terms of the scoreboard. What was the best thing that you saw tonight, offensively or defensively?
So you want me to get that granular about it? Let me start here, Mark. And I don't know if this is going to answer your question.
Okay.
But I would say the best thing from my perspective, and, you know, when you're dealing with these preseason games, and especially against an opponent that was sitting 29 guys, like all of their starters, you know, I try to look at things both from 10,000 feet, but also, you know, on an individual basis. But I would say the best thing that I saw was I saw a football team that was beginning to form themselves in the vision and the personality of their coach. And I think that's essential. And I'm in the middle of writing my column for Boston Sports Journal for tomorrow. And, you know, do you remember back in Vrabel's introductory press conference near the end? It was one of the last things he said in the press conference. And he said, we're going to demand we're going to demand effort and finish. People ask what our non-negotiables are. Our effort and our finish is going to be the contract that we make with our teammates. What you saw tonight was a prepared football team that gave effort from start to finish. Drake May even remarked about this. And the finish. I mean, you saw Will Campbell drive a couple of backup defensive backs to the ground, which he should do. The running backs, it was all of them just hit after hit, finishing their runs. You saw, you know, a guy like Efton Chisholm breaking tackles and, you know, trying to get over and around would-be tacklers. You know, what I saw, and it surprises me that it happened, that we saw this quickly, but the biggest takeaway for me was that you saw a professional football outfit that is doing exactly the things that Vrabel wants them to do, and to me, that's a really good start.
Okay, so Joe, maybe that's the answer to the question that we kind of talked about to open the show. What was real tonight? Maybe that's it right there. They actually looked like a team with a purpose, and they're playing with the personality of the head coach and the personality that he wants the team to play with.
Yeah, Greg, you know, you had an article this week. Hope Mike Vrabel knows what he's doing with a relatively easy Patriots camp. It popped up in my head on one play tonight. It was the Drake May turnover fumble. In the postgame show, he mentioned it was the first time he got hit all year. And when they asked him, you know, about it, he said it was instincts. And Vrabel, you know, kind of went on him and saying it was his fault. But do you think that was one of the reasons why first time all year, easy camp, first time getting hit, turnover? Is that what you mean by maybe a relatively easy camp?
No, and I don't think tonight is really going to give us an answer on that. I mean, Drake May's never going to get hit. The quarterback's never going to get hit until they play in a preseason game anyway. So there's nothing that they could do about that. This was going to be the first time that he took contact in any situation with any type of training camp. You know, whether they're prepared enough physically and ready to go, you know, we'll see week one, you know, against the Seahawks. I mean, you know, like I laid out, I mean, look, if Vrabel, this is what he did in Tennessee. And, you know, sometimes there were more than a few times he had really tough physical football teams. But it's also a fact that he lost 4 of his 6 season openers, including his last 3. in Tennessee. If he had a great record, I would have pointed that out, being like, based off his history, he knows what he's doing. I still think that question will linger until we see them against the Raiders, which is the next time they'll be back at Gillette Stadium. But this was good. I mean, I saw a team, and I've covered teams that aren't overly physical, like Mike McCarthy's Packers teams, and it seems like those guys, because they didn't hit very much, they get overly juiced in the first preseason game. We'll see if this continues.
Why do you think, Greg, Drake May didn't play a little bit longer, didn't get a few more snaps? And why do you think he didn't try to push the ball down the field, try to be a little bit more dynamic in terms of the play calling offensively?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's up to Josh McDaniels, and I'm sure it was in concert with Mike Vrabel. That was probably the passing offense was the, one sort of down note in this game. There wasn't very much to it. It was either quick passes, even the couple of Drake May had one to Matt Collins. Dobbs threw a couple later to Kyle Williams, where he held the ball a little bit. But it just, knowing how Josh McDaniels likes to operate, and also probably the way Vrabel is looking at this, I took it as this was a game where Josh and Mike just both said, look, it's the first preseason game. We got we're starting 3 rookies on the offensive line, including Marcus Bryant at right tackle. We don't have quite everybody. We're not quite set at center yet. We're still deciding what to do there. Let's just get out of here with some successful plays, get rid of the ball quickly. The thing that we don't want, at least in game 1, is we don't want a play action pass. Drake turns his back. Will Campbell whiffs on a block, and all of a sudden there's a loss of confidence. I think they wanted to come out of this with their confidence intact, and depending on the film, maybe they do a few more things next week against the Vikings, where you think both teams, maybe play their starters a half, and we'll actually see starters. But, who knows? Brian Flores, that's a dangerous play caller on the other side. And I don't know how much they're going to want to expose Drake May and those rookies in that game.
Do you like those kick returns tonight?
They looked really well blocked to me. I mean, there was, big openings. But, yeah, it was great. I mean, it was just Travion Henderson, his first NFL touch. He goes to the house. I mean, that was tremendous. And, I thought, for the most part, the people that you've heard us or writing about, really showed up in this game, whether it was, Henderson or a guy like Truman Jones on the edge of the defense, other guys like that. Like, it's good to see those guys, their work in the practice pay off in the game.
All right, we're going to be back here with Greg Bedard. More from Greg. I want to get his take on the quarterback situation as a whole. But first, let's get a headlines with Joe Murray here on the Shaws and Star Market post-game show. On the Safety Insurance 98. Let's pause 10 seconds for station identification. We wanted to be positive. We wanted to know what was the best thing you saw. Now I want to know what was the worst thing you saw tonight from the Patriots in preseason game number 1.
I think it was just the passing game overall. I didn't think, I don't know if part of it they didn't want to show much, but it was not exciting. Like I said, I think they're just building. They're sort of like, hey, let's just get one under our feet and keep building some confidence with what we're doing. And, I thought that the quarterbacks weren't all that accurate. I didn't think, Dobbs was that great. I thought Kyle Williams actually got open a couple of times deep and stacked the cornerback really well. And Dobbs really underthrew one of them. The other one was also a little bit underthrown. And there was it should have been called pass interference. It was pretty blatant. It was not very efficient, not very good work from, either quarterback. And you'd like to see a little bit more there because, it's great that they're being physical and they can, run the ball and they have good running backs and all that. But they are going to have to pass at some point.
Yeah, I didn't think Dobbs looked very good, and it looked to me, I could be wrong, but it looked like even on that touchdown run that Mike Vrabel sort of rolled his eyes. So not a good thing for them in terms of the backup quarterback. And you just brought up about they didn't want to maybe show too much. If that was the case, do you think that's the right approach? Because I'm sorry, I just don't see as optimistic as all of us are, or a lot of us are, with Drake May. I'm still feeling like he hasn't proven much in terms of being a starting, winning NFL quarterback. Should they be treating this as if he's already established and like they know what they're going to get when they get out there in the regular season with all the starters, or should he be playing more and showing more in a preseason situation?
Not the same week as a joint practice, and we'll see the same thing next week in Minnesota because they're going to have 2 joint practices with the Vikings before they play on, I think that's Saturday night. I understand where you're going with it, Mark. These football coaches just, deal with everything differently. Like you're never going to get the preseason that you want. Like I know what you want. You want a dress rehearsal. You want them working on stuff. They have the joint practices. They have their own practices. That's where they're going to work on things. You would like to see, Drake do a little bit more or ask him to do a little bit more. But I think Josh McDaniels knows what he's doing. He has a pretty good track record with this. He did it, with Mac Jones and a bunch of other people. I think we're just going to have to trust him and that there's a path. And really, we might see this, Mark, you could easily be saying these same things once we're into the regular season because really the way Josh McDaniels works is, and I think it's the right way, is it's one foot in front of the other. Like we're not going to try to bite off more we can chew than, especially with, 2 rookies starting on the left side. Who knows who's going to be at right tackle when they start the season. Like they're not going to expose anything in week 1 or 2 or 3. They're building for 17 games and you have to do that slowly, or at least that's what Josh McDaniels believes.
Greg, I actually was pretty impressed with the offensive line tonight. Maybe not so much on, some of the plays itself, but they switched up so much. The cadences were good. Will Campbell, besides the play that you mentioned on the fumble, they got crossed up on that one, but I thought he was good and he was blocking downfield. I thought Bryant on the right side, Bryant looked pretty good. One play I do want to bring up was late in the game. Jacobs on a pull to the outside. I didn't know he could do that. I didn't know their line had that capability. But you saw different guards, guys playing left, right tonight. What else did you see from the line?
Because the passing game, I don't really care how they block up quick games and screens and all that stuff. I care about 3rd and 8. I care about play action shot plays where they got to hold up for 3.5, 4 seconds, and they'll eventually get to all that. I thought it was fine. You could see, and this is another takeaway, and you sort of hinted at it. You could see the effect that good coaching is having, with the positions. not many penalties. There were a few offsetting penalties. You didn't see people jumping offside. You didn't see bad motion. I thought it was a good outing by the offensive line. I think they, have some guys. They're certainly trying to figure some things out on the inside as far as backups, whether it's center or guard and all that. And, who knows how much Morgan Moses, he might not even play at all in this preseason, the way they've been treating him. But yeah, I think, it was a good start. I'm not taking too much away against, them against backups and not much of a passing game to block up. But, what they had to deal with, like we said, baby steps. This was a good first step for them, and, it'll build confidence going forward.
We're joined by Greg Bedard of the Boston Sports Journal here on the Shaw's and Star Market postgame show. Greg, Joe and I both know you're an art aficionado. I know you have a deep appreciation for pieces like David and Christ the Redeemer. Could I get yours? How would you rank the Tom Brady statue 1 to 10?
I would say it's a 7, I think. Okay. I mean, a couple things that I was disappointed in. Not more of an iconic Brady Patriots moment. I would have liked to have seen him, and maybe there's some sort of copyright thing, but maybe holding the Lombardi trophy or something. And also, the proportions a little bit, his head and maybe the length of his arm, a little bit off. But I thought the face was awesome. It looks just like him. The hair is a little off, but I thought it was pretty good.
I agree with what Greg said. I would have liked a little bit more emotion or some type of an iconic moment that we can all look back on and think about and just really relate to based on the success that he had.
Hey, Greg, just one more on the game. Anybody lose themselves a job tonight, in your opinion?
Good. Well, I mean, it depends on where you had them, but to see Anthony Jennings out there on the final drive of the game, and also playing a lot on special teams, that was kind of rough. I always you get these veterans every year who are put in this position, and you kind of feel bad for them a little bit that this is the situation they're in. I think it would be wise. I think he's a really good player. I really do, and he fit what the Patriots used to do on defense to a T, and he improved every year. Even brought up his pass rushing skills. But he's just not a fit for what they do. And they have a lot of good young edge defenders, like I mentioned Truman Jones before, who's sort of all over the place early. Number 91, Elijah Ponder is another guy. Just see if you can trade Anthony Jennings and just move on. I didn't think Duggar was all that great tonight. I think he's another guy that you're, questioning possibly his future on this team. I'm trying to think who else. Nobody else really. Did you have anybody in mind, Joe?
Jalen
Polk.
Oh, well, I mean, it looks like he's probably headed for the IR with what happened. I mean, on that end around. I did watch him run a couple routes. I thought, he did run some good routes. He comes around the end. For 1 yard, it looked like Javon Baker completely whiffed on blocking that play from what I could see up in the press box. And he landed on his right shoulder. It did not look good. That's the same one that he had surgery on in the offseason that caused him to delay being on the practice field. Then he went into the locker room with his head under a towel. Did not look good.
All right, so we'll have to continue to evaluate the wide receiver position and all the positions here as we go through the preseason with the next game. That was the only home game for the Patriots. The next one will be at Minnesota. Greg Bedard of the Boston Sports Journal joining us here. Greg, great stuff as always. Thanks very much for the time.
Thanks, Greg.
All right, thanks, guys.
And we'll be back here on the Shaw's and Star Market postgame show on the Safety Insurance 98.5 The Sports Hub Patriots Radio Network.
Summer adventure awaits in a rugged new Honda. It's time to check.
snow, in 0-degree temperatures, and you earned every single one of these banners that fly above this stadium forever. But in the end, this statue isn't just for Pats fans. It'll also give all the Jets fans something to throw their beers at as they lead the stadium every year, probably in the second quarter.
All right, welcome back to the Shaw's and Star Market postgame show. Mark Dondero, Joe Murray, 98.5 The Sports Hub. That was Tom Brady after they unveiled his statue, the long-awaited statue outside of Gillette Stadium today. Joe, what was your assessment of the statue?
It's cool that, someone has a statue in this town, right? Bobby Orr has a statue. Now Tom Brady has one outside of Gillette, so it's cool. But everyone has an opinion on what it should have been, right?
Yeah.
Should maybe the Lombardi does have a copyright. Maybe there's something to it. I actually was a little humbled by Brady today. He was happy to be there, happy for the gesture, happy for his family. RKK, that's how they get along now, that's how they talk about each other, him and Robert. But for the most part, though, he had some good one-liners like we just mentioned with the Jets. Brady was a really good sport about this.
That was fine. I'm not going to poo-poo a Jets joke. I actually thought it was funnier. I laughed out loud when he picked up the phone. I didn't know where he was. I thought he was going to get on with Chris Costa. I thought it was a Costa call. But he picked up the phone and he pretended like it was Bill Belichick and that the artist or the sculptor had some work to do or some improvements he could make. I wasn't expecting that. I laughed out loud. Look, I'm not going to crush the statue. I gave it a 6 out of 10. Probably a little harsh. I was just hoping for emotion in the face. I wanted emotion in his face. He was stoic in the face, and they explained why. I think it was Ben Volen he posted the explanation. The facial visibility, intentional design to showcase his laser-focused expression. So I can respect that. Like Greg said, I would have liked an iconic moment that I could have recognized. My choice would have been when he spiked the ball in the game against the Raiders in the snow. The visual of him throwing it dead, that would have been my choice. But I don't get his bent out of shape out of the smaller head, or some people thought he looked a little chunky. Whatever.
It looked like the guy from Beetlejuice. Was it Beetlejuice?
Yeah, I think it was Beetlejuice. So, okay. So that's a different perspective. I thought it was good. It's cool that he has a statue. I love the foundation, the hectagon or whatever it is, with the little notes on each Super Bowl. I thought that was good. The hair, questionable.
Yeah. I mean, it's better than what we saw in the movie Happy Gilmore 2. It's better than Dwayne Wade's. It's probably better than Ronaldo's. So, yeah, you know what my biggest takeaway was? It wasn't so much the statue and the event. I just felt like today was the day to turn the page on Tom Brady. Like, there's a new era here, right? Mike Vrabel's taken over. Bill Belichick's really gone. Mm-hmm. There's a new regime, right? There really is. And was tonight like a, hey, Tom, we love you. Here's the statue. We wish now we have a new season and hopefully everybody's as excited. Maybe the statue is a torch passing.
Okay.
Of a new era, and that was kind of my big takeaway from tonight.
I mean, I don't want to call that wishful thinking. We'd like to believe that this is going to be a new era that people can get excited about. It was just strange to me when we watched the whole thing unfold, and I enjoyed it as much as everybody. But it's at the same time you're thinking to yourself, okay, this is still the owner or part owner of the team you're playing in week 1. He's also going to be broadcasting a game on Fox somewhere in week 1. I forget where he's going, Dallas or something. Probably Dallas. I feel like he does the Cowboys every week, whatever. And it's just Tom Brady is not a Patriots ambassador right now.
Yeah. Can I give you one?
Yeah.
Would you rather the Rocky statue or the Tom Brady statue?
I'm going to have to look up the Rocky statue.
It's Rocky all day. It's Rocky all day. Even Brian in the movie. Remember he threw the helmet at it and everything? Yeah. Like, to me, iconic statue.
Yeah.
Rocky.
Yeah.
Right? No? I mean, all right. So now if we're going to do statue tiers,
yeah.
What's better, Bobby Orr or Tom Brady?
Well, I mean, the aura is an iconic image. He's going through the air, right?
Some people think it's overrated, but yes.
No, it is.
Yes.
Yeah, it probably is. But I like that image better. That's the image of Bobby Orr. This is not the image of Tom Brady.
You're right.
That's what I
would agree with that.
Yeah.
What's he doing?
I don't ever remember him doing that, really.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, maybe first down or let's go.
You know when I think he did that, honestly? I think he made that gesture or something close to that. Do you remember when Julian Edelman, in his first preseason game as a rookie or something, in Philadelphia, returned a punt for a touchdown? He looked confused. Brady looked confused, and I think he just put his arm up. All right, great. We're not going on offense now, I guess. I don't remember that gesture, and I just would have liked, either the let's go or the Lombardi or a play that I could have recognized. That's it.
Yeah, and I'll just say the Rocky isn't real.
I get that.
Tom Brady is a real person and now is a real statue. It's just, to me, I think the Rocky statue gets a lot of cred. This one, nah. It kind of reminds me of the sketches in the courtroom. I don't know. They could have fun with it.
Well, I mean, that would have been a disaster. If there was anything that reminded you of that, that was bad. But I think, look, I understand that Robert Kraft wanted to get all this in while he's still, I don't know what his plans are, if he's going to hand over the team or what. He wanted to be a part of all of these things, including Tom Brady. That's fine. I get that. A statue, some of the things, the documentaries, I think those things could have waited a little bit longer. But a nice event tonight, like you said, Tom Brady being willing to kind of play ball every single time. The event last year on 6/12 or whatever it was a huge success. Brady was a part of that, obviously a big part of that. They got all these people to come in. The thing tonight, to have him here was great. He came for the first game of 2023 and the halftime, and he gave the speech. I mean, he's been a part of everything Robert Kraft has wanted.
He's a Patriot. He's just the owner of the Raiders.
That's right. And he's an unbiased broadcaster on the number one network, on the number one team on the network there. So it's a little different. But look, Drake May, I just feel like it just puts me, as we look towards the new dawn of this era here, it's just awkward, and Greg talked about it a little bit. I don't know what we're waiting for. I don't know why we're waiting for Drake May. When is it go time? Do we just wait until later this season, deep into his second year, when he's a little more comfortable, where they really rev it up? Or by then, is he going to be a bust? Are we going to be questioning whether or not he's a bust? I mean, quarterbacks that get it pretty quickly. I understand Josh Allen was different, but these quarterbacks that get it by year 2 with a competent coaching staff, which is what we think the Patriots have now, should be able to get it. And I wish they looked a little bit more like that tonight, even though it's just the preseason.
I'll give you one. The Bengals started pretty hot last night, and we know about their history of starting slow. They played Joe Burrow early on. He threw 2 touchdowns to Gesicki and Chase. So, I mean, it's just they made it an example of getting ready early on. And tonight, again, when we talked with Greg put it off as maybe not during having joint practices. Maybe that was something to it. And next week they're doing back-to-back. Mm-hmm. So does it mean we're going to see less Drake May next week?
It feels that way.
That's a problem, Mark. I don't think we get it.
No.
We're used to the guys playing in games or getting a couple of reps or playing into that's tradition. Now it's the joint practice is what matters. And Drake May was awesome in joint practices the other day, right? Didn't look like it tonight.
No, but see, here's the problem, though. In joint practices, does Drake May get tackled? Is the threat of being tackled in play? Not really, right? He doesn't get hit in joint practices. It's not allowed. So it's, to me, the joint practices is the driving range. At the end of the day, there's no real consequence for a bad play. You're not going to get hit. Sure, you could throw an interception that doesn't look good. People get concerned, but it's not a game. No matter how much you want to try to make it look like a game or act like it's a game, it's not a game, okay? And when you have an unproven quarterback, I still believe, I'm in the wrong, I get it, but I still believe that in the game is where you learn the most. Even if it's preseason, you could get hit. We saw who got hit the other night. Was it Anthony Richardson?
Yeah,
got sacked really bad?
Yeah, nobody even blocked him.
Yeah. I mean, that's the consequence of a really bad play. Even though it's the preseason, you're still going to get hit. And that's live, real football. And I feel like that's when you get the true the measure of what you're going to be up against and how you're going to perform in an actual football game. So it's uncomfortable to me when the team and the offense is not established. It's not Tom Brady. It's not all these people that we've seen do it for years within a system that they know. I want to see it happen, and I want it to come together because the developmental period should be over right now, or at the end of the preseason at least, or whatever this is before the regular season period.
I got some defensive notes if you want to get into those.
We'll get into those after you give us the headlines. ID here or no? We're going to get the headlines from Joe Murray, and we'll be back.
Jones, the release to the right, picked off. DJ James has it along the far side. Another play for the former Seahawk draft choice, who's been a standout thus far in training camp for the Patriots with a return to the 31.
A big celebration down the other end. You know Mike Vrabel wants to see that. Great read by DJ James. The receiver falls down, makes a tremendous break on the ball to take it back.
All right, welcome back to the Shaw's and Star Market postgame show. Mark Dondero, Joe Murray. Joey, what'd you think of the defense? Impressed by the unit, even though Jaden Daniels didn't play? Terry McLaurin not even here. Did you like what you saw out of the Patriots unit defensively?
Saw a new scheme. Different gapping. I will say this. I was really impressed with Milton Williams the little I saw of him. He's going to be, the thing is I don't know if he can play all three downs. I don't know.
It's not really his history.
It's not, but I'll tell you this. There was a cutback to the middle of the field where he stayed home. Sometimes the defensive linemen, when the no one's covering them, they call it a trap, right? You got to stay home. He can go one-on-one with running backs or speed, quarterbacks. That impressed me. I was really impressed. I think he's going to get in the backfield a ton. And when it comes to one-on-one situations, he's so big that I think he can make tackles for loss. Spillane looks legit like a run stuffer. Really, he's going to probably be their tackles leader. But the guy who's standing out to me, without a doubt, and he's getting a lot of reps, and he was drafted last year by Seattle. And the Patriots picked him up this year, but it's DJ James. He had an interception tonight. He's been one of the talk of camp as far as, making big plays. But he had 3 tackles tonight, all solo. They don't really have a boundary corner outside of Davis and Gonzalez. So they probably need a third one. The other thing I'll mention is there was a different look with their safeties tonight. Duggar and Peppers were both on the field, but whenever Washington went with a third wide receiver, Peppers became the nickel corner. On the TV broadcast, the McCourty brothers were all over it. They were saying how he was covering very well there. It also allows them to have another safety on the field, and at times it was Hawkins, and then the other one was the rookie Woodson tonight, who I think led the team. Yeah, he led the team in tackles tonight with 5. He had a QB hit, too, for safety off the outside. So just as far as a scheme goes, I do think that Milton Williams and Spillane are really going to be active when it comes to up front. The next layer of the field, there's still some question marks about health. But if they can play 3 to 4 safeties, I think it's going to keep Duggar fresh. And if Peppers can actually stay healthy and play that nickel, it's going to help Marcus Jones a ton to stay on the field and do more.
I've been so concerned with the offense. To be honest, with the Mike Vrabel hire and just kind of what they did in free agency and through trades or whatever defensively, I haven't thought or worried too much about the defense. I liked what I saw tonight. It looked like they were poised. It looked like they were prepared. I understand that the Commanders didn't play really anybody, but I haven't been concerned. I do think I like the point you made on like a guy like Spillane. Will they be able to stop the run? They're not the biggest front seven. They're not the biggest defense, but if they can get play from a guy like that, and if they can hold up against the run and get some leads in games, I think that would put that defense in a good spot with Mike Vrabel and the pass rushing that he likes to do, or the way that he likes to have his guys rush the passer and all those things, and with who they have on the roster to rush the passer along the defensive line. I think they're going to have some defensive backs emerge, as you just alluded to. I think that the linebackers have a chance. I mean, even Christian Ellis, who I've never really been a huge fan of, ended up in the backfield a couple times tonight. He was kind of out of a cannon. I'd like to see that. So if that happens and it evolves the way I'm hoping, I will be comfortable with what they have defensively. And I thought tonight was a good first step towards that, despite not having really anybody across the ball of note.
I agree. Yeah, and listen, I know tonight we're probably hard to take away from whatever their defense did tonight because the offense was the story. But, hey, they scored 48 points, and their defense put them up into some good situations. Can we talk about the kickers for a second here?
Yeah, I mean, it's a battle, right?
So this Parker Romo kicked a 55-yarder last year for Minnesota. 54-yarder tonight. That was the guy who got the
57, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, so 57, excuse me. My point is, they're giving him the long kicks? Are we going to see Borregales getting some of those next week? I don't know. What would you prefer, the long-distance guy or the college kid with a proven track record? You know what I mean? They can't keep two.
I don't want them to keep two kickers.
I know.
No. Figure out who you like better, who's more accurate. I think every kicker now I feel like can kick it from 55 and beyond or whatever. So I'm surprised that they need to sort of employ a two kicker, one guy's for long kicks, one guy. I don't know. I'd like for them to settle on the one kicker and go from there. But they're going to need a competent kicker this year. I don't expect them to be blowing out teams. They're going to be in games where you need a key field goal to be made. So, yeah, that's a battle that's worth monitoring, especially if you're talking about a position that's going to help the offense and scoring points.
Welcome to preseason football, Mark.
Thank you.
This is what we're doing now. We're now looking at the other layers of the roster that probably at some point may make an impact, but this is all we can talk about in a 48-14 blowout.
I'm just, again, I just am uncomfortable with how they're operating offensively because I don't think that they are in a position to act like they know what they have, and they're doing that. And maybe they do know more of what they have than we do. They obviously do. But Drake May and some of these weapons and some of the guys at the receiver position specifically have not performed to a consistent level to allow the NFL team to have the success or any success based on the last few years. I don't know when you start doing that, Joe. There's no preseason anymore. In the joint practices, you don't get hit. Do you wait till the regular season and try to figure it out then? Well, if you lose the first two games, what's the percentage of those teams that make the playoffs? Or is this just another rebuilding year? He's in year 2. We got to do this eventually. We got to go.
Yeah, they did stress urgency too, right? That was one of the things Vrabel said in his opening press conference.
And I know Greg was comfortable with the way that Josh McDaniels is playing it. I'm less comfortable. I want to see them go. And I know you don't want to ruin their confidence early and have a bunch of mistakes. I want them to have the confidence to play football. Okay? And I'd like to think that Drake May, if he throws a couple of interceptions, it's not going to ruin him. It's not going to destroy, like Mac Jones, maybe he got destroyed. I'd like to think Drake May has a little bit better temperament and a little bit more mental fortitude to, if he does make some mistakes, he can learn from them and bounce back. But in the meantime, play real football. Throw the ball down the seam. Throw the ball down, down the field. Go a little turbo, no huddle. Throw the ball. Don't have the high school, no more high school plays. I'm sick of high school plays. Little check downs and screens and draw plays and sideways passes. I'm done with that life. I want NFL plays. And that's what I'm looking for early and often this year. And I certainly didn't see it tonight. I get it. Preseason. They're figuring it out. The two rookie linemen. I get it. But I didn't see it tonight. When we get back, I want to do some winners and losers, Joe, that you have and that I have from the first preseason game here on the Shaw's and Star Market postgame show on the Safety Insurance 98.5 The Sports Hub Patriots Radio Network.
The Ford Summer Sales Event is here. Get the best deal on the best-selling trucks in America for 48 years. Ford F-Series. They do more than just get you to your destination.
wave the Commanders away from the 41 of New England, where the ball was to be spotted, and indeed, while the sticks are out there, just as a backup and as well for our benefit, one of the changes this year, utilizing the Sony 8K Hawkeye cameras installed at stadiums to help identify the spot. There are no lasers, no chip in the ball. We're going to find out simultaneously with the players and the referee, Brad Rogers. He's standing along the near side, hands on hips, in front of the Washington bench, looking at the video board to our right, at the south end of Gillette Stadium. Drum roll, please. We wait and watch with bated breath.
This is what the people came to see, Bob.
I don't need the Hawkeye technology. I've got pretty poor eyes. It kind of looks a little bit short
on the field is short of a first down.
So the broadcast, the television broadcast got the measurement. They did not get it in the stadium here.
No,
they leave it to the official. Oh, here it comes.
Here we go.
Now it's on the Jumbotron.
10 inches.
That was exciting, wasn't it, Bob?
All right, welcome back to the Shaws and Star Market post-game show. Mark Dondero, Joe Murray. Joe, that was the eye in the sky, the newfangled way of measuring. What did you think of what played out in that regard tonight?
So two sides of this one. That was cut audio, by the way. That wasn't it. They had to cut it up to get a bit out of it for us. So it was longer than that. I was down the hall watching on television, so I didn't hear the broadcast. But on TV, there was the McCourty brothers and Zolak talking about the Hawkeye and the eye in the sky and the 8K cameras, and basically they're just the technology is gonna determine everything. And so there was a little of a scrum on the sideline. They had to move some people away, but they did show it on TV first. So it was probably a minute on television. It's probably still too long. Hearing that was a disaster. Mm-hmm. I guess it must be worse on the radio side, way worse. So, it's 10 inches, right? I don't know. The Josh Allen thing, this is why they're doing it, right? They want the rule changes. Right. They want it right. Chain gang, right? They probably have it at Severian still, I bet, right? Going for the high school level, they probably still have it at Hyde Park, Pop Warner, probably. But they need a chain gang. Right, it's supposed to make things faster. That's not faster. And here's the deal. It's preseason for everybody. It's preseason for us as well. They were mocking it. That was a mockery. So it might have looked better on television, but it seemed a lot worse on the radio thing. And I don't know. The chains, just bring them out. You would have had it done faster.
My thing, and we're going to get to winners and losers real quick. I was under the impression that this was going to solve the type of play that we saw in that AFC playoff game with the Bills and Chiefs, where you were going to be able to have the technology accurately assess where the ball was. But that's not what it does it? It just measures it. It's a measurement electronically. I don't understand. That doesn't solve anything to me. I thought the technology was going to accurately assess, yes, Josh Allen actually did get the first down because the technology tells me the ball got to here. But that's not really what happens. The refs still spot the ball, and then the technology measures it, right? Do I have that right, or am I off?
It should be. Is it there yet or no? Nope. All right, fourth down.
Yes, and it doesn't even happen fast enough.
You are right,
yeah,
yes.
And it doesn't even happen fast enough.
It's supposed to work, Mark.
Yeah. Great.
Was there even a backup plan, though? That's my question. Where was the chain? Were they there? Were they out there still?
All right, give me 3 winners for the Patriots tonight from preseason game number 1. Some winners.
Number 1 winner is Travion Henderson. Just speaking of Henderson quickly, I thought Ramondre looked thinner, and Gibson, even on a kickoff, looked bigger. So this kid's going to impact that room. I don't know if they keep 4. I don't know. But Henderson's legit. I know it's a preseason game, but he's been doing this in college. There's some speed there. Exceptional speed. DJ James, I really think that, I think he'll be your probably 4th defensive back on the team. And the last one is one of their rookies. He led the team in tackles tonight. Woodson from Cal. They just think he's the true free safety on the team. I don't think they have one. And Craig Woodson tonight, those are my 3 ups. If you want my downs quickly, Jalen Polk, it's just unacceptable. Like getting hurt on the first play, it's awful.
1 rush for 1 yard, that's his line.
Josh Dobbs, he's got to push Drake May a little bit more. Just for Drake May's sake, not for his own. And then just finally, Anthony Jennings is this kid that was a stud at Alabama.
Yep.
He's had some signs. He can rush. In this new scheme, I don't think there's a spot for him. I think he kind of lost the job tonight.
All right, my winners. I'm going to go with Efton Chisholm. Had a couple, he led the team in receiving. I understand when he's playing and, who's he going against. But I thought he competed. We heard Drake May talk about it. He had the touchdown off a tip ball. He did some good things for them. 6 receptions, 50 yards. I'll take it. The long of 20, I'll take that effort. If you're a guy like that in the first preseason game, I'm going to take that effort. Okay, another winner I had tonight, maybe a little bit of a, I want to call it controversial, but I thought Will Campbell was pretty good. I like the effort. I understand what happened on that twist. I thought, maybe it was a communication issue. He could have come off the man he was blocking. I thought they could have hit Pop Douglas on the out pattern quicker, gotten the ball out and saved the sack there. They didn't do that. It wasn't a good play, but I liked his effort. I liked the tenacity. I like how he was playing beyond the whistle and finishing plays, and I thought he was okay in pass protection. I had him as an up, especially based on the roller coaster he's been on. I thought that was an up. And I'm going to go with, just based on the numbers, Ben Woodridge. 9 of 12, 132 yards and a touchdown. Good quarterbacking for the most part.
Was he the best quarterback tonight?
It was better than anything else I saw. So that's what I'm going to go with. I appreciated an effort there from a quarterback that was positive. I have Drake May as a loser tonight, and it wasn't all his fault. Okay? It was some of the play calling and the things they were asking of him. Obviously, the fumble wasn't good. That was a bad decision, compounded by a bad result. But I thought the play calling, not ideal. He did some good things with his legs, but that's not the primary thing I want Drake May being praised for, what he does with his legs. That's a nice little supplemental part of his game that we're going to need. They're going to need, but I'd like to see him throw the ball, be a little bit more dynamic throwing the ball, and I didn't see him get a chance to do that tonight, and by default, that's a down, that's a loser situation for him. Kyle Williams, same thing. Not really his fault. He actually got open. But I thought he was a loser tonight because he wasn't able to convert. Not his fault, but he wasn't able to convert on opportunities, and as a result, he loses. Okay, you score a touchdown, you make a couple plays, that changes things for a third-round rookie. It's better for him, it's better for the team, and he was a loser tonight because of one of your losers couldn't get him the ball in Josh Dobbs. And the other loser, I mean, what am I supposed to say about Javon Baker? He's playing special teams. He's not getting the ball. I mean, you wanted a guy that was dynamic, that could stretch the defense and take the top and do all those things. Haven't seen it, and he's sort of in a camp with Jalen Polk. I don't know how he makes the team. I don't know how he makes up enough ground. And here we are with a loaded competition at receiver, and I haven't seen much. So could have gone some other different direction. I would have liked to have seen more from the other wide receivers. Douglas, Booty didn't do much. They didn't get many opportunities, if any. Did Pop Douglas even get a target tonight? I don't even think he was targeted. So I don't know what, they might be holding things close to the vest. Maybe they showed all they wanted to show at joint practices. Fine. But this isn't an offense that's established, and I want to see them become more established as we go forward.
Yeah. And listen, this is a preseason game, number 1. We got to give our takes on what we saw today. I am interested in next week, though. Minnesota, joint practices, who's in, who's out, and, this is it, right? I mean, they don't really – there's one more preseason game, but for the most part, are they anyone going to play in that dress? Is it a dress rehearsal? What is the dress rehearsal anymore?
Who knows? I don't know when they're going to do these things. I don't know when they ramp it up. I don't know if the first few games of the regular season are an extension of the preseason. Not that the Patriots have time. They didn't do this last year, and they're not doing it again. Now, they have better players this year, but that urgency to get it up and running fast so you can hit the ground running when the games matter, I still don't see it. Better players, an established now starting quarterback, but I don't see it right now. Mark Dondero, Joe Murray here on the Shaws and Star Market postgame show. We're going to get a headlines from Joe Murray, but first, let's pause 10 seconds for station identification on the Safety Insurance 98.5 The Sports Hub, Patriots Radio Network.
From the Town Fair Tire Studios, this is Boston's home for sports. WBZ-FM at HD Boston 98.5 The Sports Hub. Station. Sports Hub headlines presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Patriots win their opening game in the preseason 48-14. Wow. All over Washington tonight. Well, Drake May started. He did have a rushing touchdown, but fumbled in the game and had a turnover. You also saw Josh Dobbs rush for a touchdown tonight along with Ben Woodbridge. He threw a passing touchdown to Efton Chisholm. They also got a 100-yard kick return from Travion Henderson in the opening play of the game. Lan Larison scored a touchdown tonight, but is in a walking boot after the game. Also, Jalen Polk left the game with a arm injury. Patriots will have joint practices with the Vikings.
The kickoff setup, deploying 2 return men. And the kick is airborne to the right side at the goal line. Right foot on the goal line. Henderson takes it straight ahead. Travion across the 20, 25 with a seam and a cut right past the 40. Slips a hit to the 50. Only the kicker down. Run to the 30, to the 20, to the 10. Goodbye! Touchdown, Patriots!
Special talent from the rookie running back, second-round pick out of Ohio State, Travion Henderson, seconds into his first professional game. I know it doesn't count, Bob, but it does matter. And to have that kind of success this early in the preseason, not only for Henderson, but for that special teams unit, people have to be fired up. I noticed Elijah Ponder with a pancake block there, Bob, to help spring that for the score.
All right, back here on the Shaws and Star Market postgame show. That was the highlight from the Patriots' 48-18 win over the Washington Commanders in preseason game number 1. Second-round pick, Travion Henderson, opening kickoff, 100 yards for the touchdown. And without being too strong right now, Joe, I feel like I've been saying this. I've been on the Pop Douglas bandwagon. It's going to be Pop Douglas. It's going to be Travion Henderson this year. They're going to be stars for the Patriots. They're going to change this offense this year.
Speed.
You wait.
Speed. And I'll throw, if they can get the ball to Kyle Williams when he gets open, I think he could be a dynamic player as well. But that's the difference in the roster, right? Speed. Pop Douglas could take that next step because he's got the ability to get open in speed. So, and just one other thing about the Henderson run, he got to the 30-yard line. Acceleration, dude. He already ran for 80 yards.
Yeah.
That was impressive to me that he had that type of acceleration to find the end zone, and that's what they talked about, right? What Vrabel mentioned about finishing and being that kind of guy. That's what Henderson is.
I just don't understand. And again, preseason, intentionally vanilla. They might be holding stuff in. They threw the ball a lot to Pop Douglas in the joint practices. They did not do that tonight. I believe they were holding things back.
Yeah, vanilla.
I don't think they wanted to do that. I don't think they wanted to expose him because he was open and they didn't even look for him. I appreciate them trying to get the rookie involved, and they did, and he took advantage of it. This is going to – I still believe, based on some of the frustrations tonight, and I'm still concerned that they're not doing enough, but I feel like their head will be in the right place come the regular season. In the regular season, I think they're going to target Pop Douglas on third down. They're going to lean on Travion Henderson and obviously Stephon Diggs. They will go to their horses despite not doing so tonight.
Just to wrap this up, I did watch a little of the Raiders game last night.
Okay.
They don't have wide receivers outside of Jacoby Myers.
So you think that could be a win?
Betting line was 3.5 to 3. I think the Patriots have struggled at home. But watching how depleted they are for weapons.
Who's the quarterback in
Geno Smith. Pete Carroll. Ashton Genty got drafted. Mostert's run well against the Pats. Mason Crosby versus the line is going to be the story of the day, if you ask me.
I just feel like that's a game you got to find a way to win.
Yeah,
I get it. I get it. At home, Vrabel's first game.
Urgency.
That's right. You have to find a way to win against that roster, against that team with Pete Carroll. I know he's a decorated head coach.
West Coast to East Coast, 1 o'clock.
Before we get there, it'll be Minnesota. That will be the second preseason game with 2 joint practices next week. Is there anything you're going to be looking for specifically throughout next week?
Just the joint practices. Like, is J.J. McCarthy, Drake May, is that going to be a storyline? Because the storyline this week was Jaden Daniels, Drake May. Drake May seemed to have won that one. Preseason game, didn't win. So will we see both? J.J. McCarthy was awesome last year in the preseason, by the way.
Right.
Will he play? And this is what the whole dual joint practices are. So I would like to hear Drake May better than J.J. McCarthy.
Definitively. Considering he hasn't played, I get it. He has weapons. He's got a good coach, a great offensive coach, maybe the best in the league. But it should be a good test. Stephon Diggs, will he participate? Is he going to be involved? And I just think this is very important for the Patriots to get up and running offensively.
Does Brian Flores throw something in a game that potentially could be a dress rehearsal?
Should be interesting. And we'll check it out next week. A huge thanks to our crew in Foxborough, producer Mark Capello, engineer Dennis Knudsen, on the sideline, Tyler Knudsen, Tom Morgan, and here in Waltham in our studios, intern Luke Arnpriester. Big thanks. Studio technician Kevin Majori and executive producer Jeremy Conley. Big thanks to you, Joe. Pleasure to be with you.
Mark, nice job.
And we will have pregame, the Shaw's and Star Market postgame show, but we will have pregame next Saturday, 10 a.m. It's an early preseason game. I don't ever remember a preseason 1 p.m. game. So preseason 1 p.m. pregame here, 10 a.m. next week, 98.5 The Sports Hub. This has been the Shaw's and Star Market post-game show. The Shaw's and Star Market post-game show. Shaw's and Star Market make shopping, ordering online, and saving easier than ever. Download the Shaw's Deals and Delivery app or the Star Market Deals and Delivery app today. Thanks so much for listening to the Shaw's and Star Market post-game show on the Safety Insurance 98.5 The Sports Hub Patriots Radio Network.
This has been the Shaw's and Star Market Patriots.